welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have a very simple recipe for you. This is an herbed compound butter. Now we're going to be showing you how we're using this next week's episode when we do an actual roast turkey. But this week we're just doing the really simple herbed butter. This is just one possibility. There's lots of different ways to make a compound butter, and I'm just going to show you this one right now. And let's start with our ingredients. Of course, we have some salted butter here. We have 1 shallot, and the herbs we're using today, we're going to use some rosemary, a little bit of thyme, and some oregano. These we all got from our garden. We have a little herb garden on our patio. And we're just going to start by chopping this shallot pretty finely. One thing about the butter, you do want it to still retain its sort of smoothness. Now, these flavors are all going to infuse nicely into the butter. The smaller the pieces are, the more flavor you're going to get out of them, as well as the nicer texture you'll get if it's really nice and finely diced. So here you see Chef Caleb with a very, very fine slice on this shallot. And getting rid of the root. And from there, he's just going to chop that really, really finely. Compound butter is not something that you want a whole lot of texture in. You want it to be as buttery as it possibly can. And we're going to add a couple of herbs after this, of course. But the shallot, this is a really nice flavor. It gives you that kind of garlicky, oniony aroma without having to add both onions and garlic. We use a lot of shallots in our cooking, and that's just going to go right in the bowl. And then we're just going to peel the herbs off of their stems. So we're starting with the rosemary. We've got the thyme here, and they're pretty easy to get off mostly. If you find some are just not coming off easily, you can pick them off individually. You can run the back edge of a knife over. Now, of course, this is just one possible recipe for this sort of compound butter. You can use whatever herbs you like. If you don't like rosemary, if you prefer parsley in there, if you want some chervil, some basil, anything like that. Really, the sky's the limit as far as the flavor profile that you want to use here. Black pepper is always a nice addition too. We're not using any in this one, but it's just fine to use that. So we're, again, just going to bunch these herbs up a little bit. You can see Chef Caleb there is just giving a little fold and a little chop to get nice chiffonade, and then turn it, and then a nice little chop again. We do want this, again, to be very, very fine. If you find any little bits of stem in there as well, you can take that out. You're not going to need that, but just give it a really good chop. It helps if your knife is very, very sharp. The leafy ones actually take a little bit more chopping. The slightly tougher ones, like the rosemary, actually chop very, very easily. But the oregano is a little tougher to get small. So we're going to add just a couple of dashes of Tabasco sauce, and we're also going to add, we just want a little bit of acid in there, so we're adding a touch of vermouth. You can also add something like white wine vinegar or rice wine vinegar. Those are both very neutral. It just gives you that slight little pop of acidity. And we're just going to mix it up. Now you can also do this in a mixer. It makes things easier. If you're making a large quantity, you can certainly use a mixer for this. It's not a problem at all. And it doesn't honestly take very long, and that's it. We're just mixing that until it's well blended. And then you can store it in the fridge. You can even store this in the freezer. You can just roll it up in parchment paper, put it in the freezer, and that's it. It's a beautiful compound butter. We're going to use this on our turkey next week. You're going to see this in our next video. But you can also put this on biscuits. If you want a little bit of extra kick in the flavor, you can top a steak with this. You go to Ruth's Chris or something like that. They give you that nice dollop of flavored butter on top of their steak. Super versatile. You can use it any way you like, any flavor profile you like. Really, really easy to do. And that's it. So if you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if there's any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.